Hey there, thrill seekers and movie buffs. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the heart-pounding world of supernatural horror with our review of the spine-chilling film, Countdown. I'm your host, and buckle up because this one's a roller coaster of scares and suspense. A couple of youngsters should be visible lounging around a table at a local party. The young ladies discuss counting calories, so one of them shows an application on her telephone for monitoring her food admission. The other one needs to download it, yet looking for that application she finds another called just Commencement. The others get some information about it and she peruses the depiction, which expresses that it can tell you precisely what you will pass on. Every one of them, with the exception of Courtney, needs to make a drinking game out of it, with the one with the least to live will drink all that is on the table. Courtney hesitantly does it as well and acknowledges the agreement. They circumvent the table and everybody gets 60 to 30 years of life. Courtney looks agitated as she shows them that she just has 3 hours to live. The rest ridicule her and tell her that she needs to comply with the standards of the game and drink when her beau Evan comes over and drinks rather than her. Afterward, both of them are heading toward his vehicle. He's apparently tipsy. At the point when they enter, she requests that he walk her to her home and not commute home, yet he would rather not. She gets out and begins strolling, while he attempts to persuade her to return, and when he doesn't succeed, he jumps off indignantly. Courtney receives a message from the application, saying she's wrecked the client's understanding. As she keeps strolling, it appears as though someone is following her. The application says she has under 2 minutes to reside, inciting her to run into her home, as the application keeps on booming on her telephone. She controls it off. Courtney strolls into the restroom and turns out to be progressively neurotic, so she checks the shower shade. Then, at that point, she goes to hydrate but hears the draperies move once more. She pivots, yet something snatches her from a higher place and drops her on the shower, breaking her head. She passes on when the commencement clock gets down to nothing. In the meantime, Evan was in an auto collision and the front seat where Courtney should be is totally destroyed. Quinn should be visible leaving a lift and moving a medical caretaker truck through a clinic. She strolls into a room, finding that one of the patients hasn't completed his lunch. She knows where to track down him. He's sitting on a gallery in a shut wing of the medical clinic. It's Evan. She sits with him and attempts to make casual chit-chat to loosen up him for a medical procedure. However, he shows her the commencement application, which says that he has something like 19 hours left. He informs her concerning the application and his sweetheart. Persuaded that it knew when she planned to pass on. Evan feels that the application additionally realizes that he will kick the bucket during his medical procedure. Quinn tells him not to stress over the application and gets back into the game in his room. They meet Amy on the way and she advises Quinn to accompany her. The emergency clinic staff shocks her with a cake since she breezed through the medical caretaker's assessment. As they're sitting and eating cake, Quinn kids about the application, and a portion of the others have previously caught wind of it. They giggle about it when Scott gets over 50 years to live, thus Specialist Sullivan. Out of nowhere, a man strolls in conveying a lady that is going too far. The specialist checks her in that general area on the floor and Amy advises Quinn to carry the unit with the medications to neutralize what she's taken. Amy oversees it to the lady and she awakens. Afterward, Quinn is going home when she gets a promotion for the application. She downloads it and enters her data, consenting to the terms. The application tells her that she has minimal north of 2 days to live. Unexpectedly, Specialist Sullivan strolls into the lift and plays with her, however, she attempts to let him off simply. That evening, Quinn is at home completing her nursing reports, when she runs into an issue. She calls Scott to request help and he advises her that she'll have to enter the data from her introduction to the world authentication. Quinn doesn't have it with her, yet she knows where to track down it. She goes to get it from her parents' home. When there, she filters through her mother's papers and tracks down them at the lower part of the heap. Something moves in the storage room behind her, and when she opens it, she tracks down her sister Jordan there, alongside her beau. He gets into his garments and leaves. However, Quinn admonishes her sister about it. Jordan is furious with her for nurturing her and not approaching to see her all the more frequently after their mother passed on. Quinn goes to her space to apologize and inform her about completing her investigations when her dad wakes and comes to welcome her. He's glad to see Quinn and inquires as to whether she needs to accompany them to visit her mother's grave one day. The following day, Evan is getting ready for his medical procedure and says that he has close to 3 minutes to live. He leaves the room and the application pushes a notice on his telephone letting him know he's wrecked the understanding. Evan sees a dreadful figure behind him in the mirror, yet nobody's there, in actuality. He escapes to the flight of stairs, however, it follows. The application keeps on informing him of the commencement. Evan can't escape the dull flight of stairs when he hears strides inside the flight of stairs. He utilizes the light on his telephone, yet can't see anybody ground floor. Evan turns upward and thinks he sees Courtney, yet it's something different and it's coming after him. His telephone drops down the steps and when the commencement arrives at nothing, he tumbles down as well. Somewhat later, Quinn comes to work and Amy illuminates her about Evan. She recalls the application and appears to be upset. Then, at that point, Quinn goes to his room and when she sees her associate getting it together, she tells her that she'll dominate. She tracks down his telephone and acknowledging she wants his unique finger impression to open it, goes to see his body in the cellar office. Quinn attempts to open his telephone with his thumb, but since it doesn't work she attempts once more with his face. She wakes up and figures out how to open the telephone at last, just to see the commencement has arrived at nothing. Out of nowhere, his hand falls and contacts her, so she drops the telephone. At the point when she gets it, his head is turned and he's checking her out. She returns the body inside the cooler. Quinn actually takes a look at her telephone to see that she has under 2 days to live and the commencement time is at that very hour when she'll meet her dad and sister at her mom's grave. She calls her father and drops their arrangement. The application sends her a warning that she's messed up the client's understanding when there's a figure in the room she passes. She returns and nobody's there. Out of nowhere, Specialist Sullivan alarms her. He requests that she assist with a patient, however, she experiences difficulty with a machine. She needs to leave and he stops her attempting to comfort her gracelessly. The specialist makes one more development on her and she declines. Yet he continues onward. At the point when she pushes him off, he pseudo-apologizes, so she goes to find and nurture Amy and inform her concerning what's occurred. Before she can say anything, the specialist calls for Amy and she doesn't get to tell her. The application streaks another notice. That evening, Quinn attempts to erase the application, yet can't, so she looks for it on the web and tracks down data about Courtney. She watches a video from a young lady yelling about the application, expressing that she's seeing things similar to her dead cousin. Abruptly, the young lady says her time is up, then, at that point, she sees something, shouts, and drops her telephone. The remarks under the video say it's a phony, so Quinn loosens up a tad and closes her PC when unexpectedly she sees dead Evan. Her telephone pushes another warning, so she breaks it, yet it actually shows the commencement. Quinn gets in her vehicle and nods off there. Jordan gets her up toward the beginning of the day. Both of them go dependent upon her condo and her sister finds her crushed up telephone, sees the application, and tells her she just has another day to live. She messes with her when she sorts out the application and afterward requests to remain with her on the grounds that their father went on the latest possible moment work trip. At the point when Quinn rejects, Jordan stomps out. Once more, the application blares and she scratches her finger on the wrecked screen. Afterward, she's in a shop, purchasing another telephone. Quinn opens it even before the person can run her card. She gets a totally new telephone and SIM card, so she checks if the application is there. At the point when she doesn't see it, she goes to leave, yet another notice shows up and the application is on the new telephone also. She gets some information about the application and he attempts to erase it. Yet can't. At the point when she last leaves, one of the different clients gets some information about the application. Quinn is in her vehicle, checking the application which has kept on counting down, then unexpectedly sees a spooky figure in her back camera. It must be seen there. Out of nowhere, it gets her from the rearward sitting arrangement and she smashes into another vehicle, dropping out of her own. The person from the other vehicle shouts at her, while the client from the store leaves and advises him to stop. He drives him off, then, at that point, shows her he likewise has the application. Afterward, they're found in a bar, discussing it. She says they ought to figure out how to see the client's understanding of the application once more, and Matt advises the insane person in the bar to download it. They head toward him, and when he arrives at the agreements page, Quinn begins to understand them. It says that they need to acknowledge their destiny. The insane person actually consents to the terms, and the application lets him know that he'll live to 91. Quinn and Matt go to the clinic and address the minister. They get some information about evil presences, however, he says that he doesn't have faith in them and sends them to another person. Before they leave, Amy requests to converse with Quinn. Matt goes to the bathroom. Somebody needs to get inside. He slows down and he sees a shoeless youngster under the entryway. As he's cleaning up, he hears somebody crying in one of the slows down, and when he goes to check, he sees the shoeless youngster once more, strolling through the slows down like theirs in the middle between. It stops at the last slowdown. The lights go out and Matt goes to really take a look at the slowdown. There isn't anything in there, yet something shows up behind him and calls out to him. It assaults him, and when the lights return on, it isn't there any longer. In the meantime, Amy takes Quinn to a gathering with HR and Specialist Sullivan. He says that she was the one to corner him and not the reverse way around. The man from HR says that she'll get suspended. When Quinn begins making sense of her side, she regards him as an admonition that he mustn't utilize the data to change his destiny. Yet, the Sovereign actually does and returns to the vagabond, telling her that demise is after him. She lets him know that it's not passing, but rather an evil presence that will torment him until the second he bites the dust, as the parchment predicted. He advises them to track down somebody to hack the application for them. They go to the store fellow, Derek, for help and pay off him to help them. He knows the application and ridicules them for trusting it, yet he still HOA. Then Quinn requests that Matt stay with her that evening. They are preparing for bed and even leave the lights on the grounds that they're actually terrified. Matt recounts his dead sibling and she informs him concerning her mother. They were both awful to them before they passed on. Both of them are snoozing in bed when the lights go out. Quinn hears something before the room and attempts to awaken Matt, however, the evil presence is the one in bed with her. At the point when the genuine Matt removes her covers, calling to her, requesting her sister. Something shoves her bed to the side and unexpectedly, her dead mother shows up. Jordan races to the front entryway and Quinn and Matt are there. They go to see the evil spirit minister once more. He peruses the code in Latin for them. It's a revile that he can figure out how to break and lift from them. That's what he imagines on the off chance that they can keep one of them alive longer than whatever the application says, the revile will be broken. He will probably conceal in a favored circle of sufficiently salt to keep on to damnation when the application begins booming. Out of nowhere, a toy robot arrives at the circle that no one but Matt can see. His sibling shows up and draws him out of the circle. The evil presence snatches him and hauls him away. Quinn pursues him, however, as she arrives at Matt, a vehicle hits him and he kicks the bucket with the commencement. Jordan is harmed, so Quinn takes her to the clinic. As a specialist is dealing with her sister, one of her partners tells her that she realizes what occurred with Specialist Sullivan and that she will confront and apologizes to him, controlling him. He sees directly through her and asks her what she needs. She says she needs her work back and advises him to follow her into the shut wing. Minutes after the fact, the specialist strolls in and searches for her around the shut wing, tracking down bits of her attire on the ground. Quinn is playing a game with him. Unexpectedly, she hits him with a wrench and needs to infuse him with morphine, when Jordan appears and stops her. The devil hauls the specialist away. Jordan are being pursued by the devil. She attempts to stow away from it, however her application parts with her situation. A cooler opens and she heads toward explore when the evil presence snatches her and tosses her through a window. There's simply no time left as the devil shut in to kill her, when unexpectedly Quinn appears with a needle pushed facing her skin, advising it to let her sister go. Jordan beseeches her not to off herself and the evil presence transforms into her mom, redirecting her consideration. Jordan visits their mother's gravesite. As they're going to leave, Quinn gets a notice. The beta form of the commencement application has been introduced on her telephone. In an after-credits scene, Derek is seen out on the town with a lady in a cafe. His date is disheartened and goes to the bathroom before they leave. Derek gets a warning from the application, counting his minutes down. The lights go out and a wicked sound can be heard, alongside Derek's shouts. Well, there you have it, folks, our spine-tingling review of Countdown. If you're a fan of heart-pounding horror that leaves you questioning reality, this film is an absolute must-watch. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this review, and share your thoughts on Countdown in the comments below. Before we wrap up, let's not forget to give this prompt a thumbs up on the search page. Your feedback helps us keep bringing you more engaging content like this. Thanks for joining us, and remember, life is unpredictable, but so is the supernatural.